She walked into Evergreen Golf Club's annual charity gala, wearing a simple dress among a sea of designer labels. As Elena Morales approached the event check-in, whispers immediately rippled through the crowd. Is she lost? Must be staff. The attendant looked her up and down with unconcealed disdain. Service entrance is around back, he said loudly, prompting snickers from nearby members. I'm a guest, Elena replied, sliding her invitation across the marble counter. The attendant examined it suspiciously while Charles Fairmont, the Club I president, strode over with a mocking smile. Well, someone's certainly ambitious today. He turned to his companions. This is what happens when we make our guest list too accessible. The club's event director, Margaret Wellington, joined them. Oh dear. Did someone mistake their catering uniform for evening wear? More laughter erupted as Elena's cheeks burned with humiliation. I designed the sustainable energy system that powers this clubhouse, she said quietly. Your manager invited me. Wellington's smile hardened. How quaint. Well, since you're here. She grabbed a serving tray from a passing waiter and thrust it at Elena. Make yourself useful, the real guests need champagne. The crowd around them erupted in cruel laughter as Elena stood frozen, the tray in her hands, dignity shredded. I understand, Elena said finally, setting down the tray. As she turned to leave, Fairmont called after her, loud enough for everyone to hear. Next time, know your place. Elena walked to her car, clutching her portfolio so tightly her knuckles whitened. She'd faced prejudice before, but the casual cruelty still stung. Her phone buzzed. Her assistant, Marco. How'd it go? She couldn't bring herself to answer, truthfully. Call you back. As she reached for the ignition, she noticed Richard Whittaker himself stepping from a Bentley. This was her chance. Gathering her courage, she approached him directly. Mr. Whittaker, Elena Morales, I had an appointment regarding your charity gala. She extended her hand, which he regarded with confusion before shaking tentatively. I don't recall, he began, but Elena pressed on. I submitted a proposal 3 weeks ago and received confirmation from your office yesterday. This wasn't entirely true, but desperation fueled her boldness. Whittaker checked his phone with a frown. Apparently there's been a mix-up. Come in, I can spare 15 minutes. He led her through a side entrance, past Veronica's astonished face. Charles Fairmont intercepted them in the hallway. Richard, the board's waiting. His eyes flicked, dismissively to Elena. This won't take long. Whittaker's office was a shrine to wealth and connections. Photos with celebrities, politicians, and business titans lined the walls. Elena pitched her proposal flawlessly, despite Whittaker's obvious disinterest and Fairmont's repeated interruptions. While creative, Whittaker said finally, we typically work with firms that understand our clientele. Fairmont smirked. Precisely. Our members expect a certain caliber of event. My firm has organized galas for the governor's office and the Children's Hospital Foundation, Elena countered, sliding her portfolio toward him. Fairmont picked it up before Whittaker could, leafing through it with theatrical skepticism. Charming efforts, but Oakmont's standard is uncompromising. Our annual gala raises 8 figures for charity. Perhaps Ms. Morales could assist with the children's activities, suggested Margaret Wellington, who'd appeared in the doorway. Face painting and piñatas are more her expertise. Their laughter was soft but cutting. Elena stood, dignity intact despite the humiliation burning in her chest. Thank you for your time. As she reached the door, Whittaker called after her, seemingly struck by a thought. Actually, we're interviewing several planners. Why don't you attend our member event tonight? See the club, meet potential clients. His smile didn't reach his eyes. 7 o'clock, formal attire. Elena hesitated. This felt like an invitation to further mockery, but also an opportunity she couldn't afford to reject. "I'll be there." Outside, she called Marco immediately. "I need a miracle. They invited me to their event tonight." Marco whistled. "That's your foot in the door. What are you wearing?" Elena looked down at her sensible outfit and sighed. "That's the miracle part." That evening, Elena returned in her only formal dress, classic black, 2 seasons old. The security guard scrutinized her invitation twice before reluctantly allowing her entry. Inside, the ballroom glittered with chandeliers and wealth. Conversations paused as she passed, resuming in whispers behind her back. Charles Fairmont approached with 2 companions. "Ms. Morales, you clean up adequately." His friends snickered. "Surprised you managed to find appropriate attire." Elena smiled politely. "I appreciate the invitation." Fairmont raised an eyebrow. "Whitaker has a peculiar sense of humor. Allow me to introduce you around as our diversity initiative." For the next hour, Elena endured introductions dripping with condescension. "This is Ms. Morales. She plans events for the underprivileged," or "Elena here is exploring career options beyond food service." Each time, she maintained her composure, offering her card to dismissive glances. She spotted Whitaker in conversation with an elderly gentleman, whose stern countenance commanded respect. Gathering her courage, she approached. "Mr. Whitaker, thank you again for the invitation." Whitaker's smile tightened. "Of course. Elena, this is Judge Harrington, our board chairman." The judge nodded curtly. "Your firm handled the Rivera quinceañera, correct? My housekeeper's daughter." Elena swallowed her frustration. "Among other events, yes. Most recently, the Governor's Economic Summit." Judge Harrington's expression remained impassive. "Indeed. Speaking of which, Richard, Governor Patterson confirmed for the gala with the Moroccan prince." Elena's ears perked up, but Whitaker steered the judge away with a meaningful glance at her. Margaret Wellington materialized with a champagne flute. "Enjoying yourself? Such a different atmosphere from your usual venues, I imagine." Her smile was razor-sharp. "Though I wonder, is serving our charity gala a step up from serving our tables? Several members thought you were part of the catering staff." Elena had reached her limit. "Mrs. Wellington, I've built my business from nothing into a respected firm with a client list your board members would envy. If you'll excuse me, I'll stop wasting both our time." She turned to leave when Whitaker's voice rang out. "Ladies and gentlemen, a moment of your attention for our gala announcement." The crowd gathered as Whitaker stood on the stairs. Oakmont's annual charity gala will transform into a night in Marrakech this year, with special royal guests. The crowd applauded. Elena froze. The Moroccan theme was the centerpiece of her rejected proposal. As Whitaker detailed elements lifted directly from her portfolio, Elena felt her professional dream slipping away. Charles Fairmont caught her eye across the room and raised his glass in mocking salute. Elena slipped away from the announcement, her mind racing. In the lavish restroom, she splashed water on her flushed face and stared at her reflection. Everything she'd worked for, her unique Moroccan concept with its custom lanterns, authentic musicians and royal connections, stolen without credit or compensation. Her phone vibrated. A text from Marco. "How's it going? Landed the gala?" The irony was almost unbearable. She couldn't bring herself to respond. As she stepped out, Charles Fairmont was waiting, leaning against the wall with predatory ease. "Leaving so soon? The party's just beginning." His eyes glittered with malice. "Remarkable coincidence about our Moroccan theme, isn't it? Great minds think alike." "That was my concept," Elena said quietly. "Every detail, from the lantern centerpieces to the royal guest list." Charles laughed, the sound echoing in the empty hallway. Prove it. Your word against Oakmont's entire board. Who do you think people will believe? A nobody from the wrong side of town, or us? He stepped closer. Be realistic, Elena. This isn't your world. Never will be. I'll fight this, she managed, though her voice wavered. With what resources? Against our team of attorneys? His smile was shark-like. Smart move would be to disappear quietly. We'd hate for other potential clients to hear you've been difficult. If summoned by the threat, Margaret Wellington and Richard Whittaker rounded the corner. Everything all right, Charles? Whittaker asked, his concern transparently false. Ms. Morales was just leaving, Charles replied. Seems our gala theme upset her. Wellington's face twisted with mock sympathy. Oh dear, did you have a similar idea? So unfortunate, but hardly surprising. These themes are rather common in certain circles. Elena felt the walls closing in, 3 powerful figures blocking her path, physically and professionally. You stole my work, she said, fighting to keep her voice steady. Theft? A serious accusation? Whittaker's tone hardened. One that could be considered defamatory. Perhaps it's time security escorted Ms. Morales out, Wellington suggested, reaching for her phone. She seems emotional. The final humiliation being removed by security. Elena stepped back, dignity her only remaining asset. Don't bother. I'm leaving. She walked away, their soft laughter following her down the corridor like poisoned arrows. Outside, the cool night air did nothing to soothe the burning in her chest. Her career in this town was over. Who would hire her after Oakmont blacklisted her name? Years of work, destroyed in a single evening. A text lit up her phone. Unknown number. Saw what happened. Meet me tomorrow, 9 a.m. Riverside Cafe. Elena almost deleted it but paused. What did she have to lose? Riverside Cafe was quiet at 9 a.m. Elena sat at an outdoor table, exhausted after a sleepless night. She'd nearly talked herself out of coming when a tall man in an impeccable suit approached. Ms. Morales, Alejandro Vega. He extended his hand. Thank you for meeting me. The name struck her like lightning. Alejandro Vega, founder of Vega International, the hotel and resort empire spanning 5 continents. Mr. Vega, she managed, shaking his hand. You sent the text? Please call me Alejandro. He sat down, ordering coffee for both of them. I was at Oakmont last night as Whittaker's guest, witnessed their appropriation of your work. His dark eyes were shrewd but kind. I'd like to hear more about your original concept. Cautiously, Elena opened her portfolio. For the next 20 minutes, she detailed her Moroccan gala vision, including connections she'd cultivated with authentic artisans and musicians. Unlike Whittaker, Alejandro listened intently, asking thoughtful questions. Impressive, he said finally. Particularly your relationship with Prince Hassan's Cultural Foundation. The Oakmont board doesn't realize what they've stumbled into. He leaned forward. I have a proposition for you, Ms. Morales. My flagship Miami property is hosting the Global Hospitality Summit in 3 days. Our event planner had a family emergency yesterday. Elena's heart raced. 3 days is very little time. Alejandro smiled. Precisely why I need someone exceptional. Full creative control, triple your normal fee, and a contract for 4 additional Vega properties if you succeed. He slid a business card across the table. My jet leaves in 2 hours. Your decision. After he departed, Elena sat stunned. This opportunity could launch her nationally, or ruin her completely if she failed. She called Marco. Pack your emergency kit. We've got 72 hours to create the event of our careers. 3 days passed in a whirlwind of preparation, Elena working around the clock with Marco and Alejandro's staff. Finally, the evening of the Global Hospitality Summit arrived. Elena surveyed the transformed ballroom of Vega Miami, a breathtaking fusion of modern luxury and classical influences that showcased her unique vision. Magnificent. Alejandro appeared beside her. "Are you ready to meet our guests?" His expression turned enigmatic. "I've taken the liberty of inviting a few additional attendees." The summit began flawlessly. Hotel magnates, travel executives, and tourism ministers mingled in the spectacular space. Elena was discussing her design choices with the French tourism minister when a familiar voice cut through her concentration. "Quite a coincidence seeing you here." Richard Whittaker stood before her, flanked by Charles Fairmont and Margaret Wellington, all looking uncomfortably out of place. "We're here representing Oakmont's hospitality interests," Whittaker continued, forced joviality in his tone. "Welcome to Vega Miami," Elena replied coolly. "Please, enjoy the event." "Didn't realize you had connections in this circle," Charles muttered, eyes darting around the prestigious crowd. Before Elena could respond, Alejandro materialized at her side. "Elena, Prince Hassan is requesting an introduction to the brilliant mind behind tonight's concept." He nodded curtly to the Oakmont trio. "Excuse us." Wellington grabbed Elena's arm. "Prince Hassan, the Moroccan royal family is here." Elena gently removed her hand. "Yes, the same royal family incorporated in my original Oakmont proposal, the one you dismissed." She smiled. "If you'll excuse me." As she walked away with Alejandro, she heard Wellington hiss to Whittaker, "You said her royal connections were fabricated." The evening progressed magnificently. The Oakmont contingent grew increasingly uncomfortable as they witnessed Elena moving confidently among the global elite. The final blow came during Alejandro's address to the gathering. "Tonight exemplifies excellence in hospitality," he announced from the stage, "created by Elena Morales of Morales Event Planning in just 3 days. Applause filled the room. "I'm pleased to announce that Ms. Morales will oversee all Vega International signature events globally, heading our new in-house planning division." Gasps and congratulatory murmurs spread through the crowd. Elena stood frozen in shock. This was far beyond their original agreement. Alejandro continued, "Unfortunately, not all in our industry uphold such standards of integrity. Recently, Oakmont Country Club appropriated Ms. Morales' original concepts without credit or compensation." The room fell silent. All eyes turned to the Oakmont representatives who had gone pale. "I've acquired controlling interest in Oakmont's parent company," Alejandro revealed. "My first action as majority shareholder will be a complete reorganization of leadership, effective immediately." Charles Fairmont pushed forward. "This is outrageous. You can't possibly—" "I already have." Alejandro's voice was steel-wrapped in silk. The paperwork was finalized this morning. Elena watched as Whittaker, Wellington, and Fairmont tried to process their sudden downfall. The crowd around them subtly shifted away, no one wanting association with the publicly disgraced Alejandro. Descended from the stage to stand beside Elena. "Justice served," he murmured. Then louder, "Ms. Morales, would you like to address our guests?" Elena approached the microphone, feeling the weight of hundreds of influential eyes upon her. "Thank you, Mr. Vega. I began my career believing exceptional work would open doors regardless of background or connections." She looked directly at the Oakmont trio. Today proves that true. While some use privilege to exclude, others use success to elevate. I'm honored to join Vega International, where excellence and integrity are valued above all. The applause was thunderous. As Elena stepped down, Whittaker approached, his arrogance replaced by desperate obsequiousness. "Ms. Morales, perhaps we can discuss a mutually beneficial arrangement. I believe you're no longer in a position to negotiate, Elena replied. But I'm not vindictive. Unlike you, I don't need to destroy others to succeed. Margaret Wellington stepped forward. We may have misjudged you. May have. Elena raised an eyebrow. Did. Wellington amended, looking physically pained. We did misjudge you. Charles Fairmont remained silent, his expression a storm of humiliation and rage. Alejandro rejoined them. Your car is waiting, he told the Oakmont representatives. Security will escort you out. As they were led away, he turned to Elena. Too harsh? Elena watched her former tormentors depart in disgrace. No, she said quietly. Perfectly just. 1 year later, Elena stood on the rooftop terrace of Vega, Miami, watching as her team executed another flawless international event. Her phone buzzed with a notification. Forbes magazine had just published their 40 under 40 list. She had made number 12. Marco approached with champagne. To the woman who went from being mistaken for catering staff to running a global events empire. They clinked glasses as the Miami sunset painted the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks. Have you seen the latest? Marco swiped on his tablet, revealing an article about Oakmont Country Club. The headline read, Revitalized Oakmont Thrives Under New Management. The photo showed a diverse group of members enjoying the facilities. Charles Fairmont opened his own consulting firm. Marco continued. Apparently, it's struggling. Wellington moved to Arizona, and Whitaker, he paused dramatically, is applying for the assistant manager position at the Palm Beach Vega property. Elena smiled. Process his application fairly. Everyone deserves a second chance. As they gazed over the glittering event below, a helicopter approached, bearing the Vega logo. Alejandro was returning from his latest acquisition. You know, Elena said, sometimes I'm grateful they underestimated me. Their cruelty led me here. The helicopter landed as guests looked up in awe. Alejandro stepped out, straightening his tie before heading directly toward Elena. Ready for tomorrow's board meeting? He asked. Your promotion to executive vice president is the first agenda item. Elena smiled. More than ready. Sometimes the most powerful response to being underestimated wasn't revenge, it was unprecedented success.